I've been waiting to make this video for a long time. Today we're going to be going through my 2025 gaming backlog, going through every single game that I was able to beat this year. This is obviously inspired by Daryl Talks Games yearly gaming backlog videos, which I've always really liked, and we're going to be doing the exact similar formula. There's other YouTubers like Feeling Fiction who have also done this formula. Now I want to do it and show everyone what games I have beaten. Last year, 2024, I had 15 different gaming experiences. This includes a DLC, 2 free fighting games, and 1 hero shooter season. Also 2 games I watched on YouTube, and 1 game which had multiple endings where I got one of them and then watched the rest on YouTube. So yeah, it was a bit iffy last year, but it was alright. But this year, I had 34 different gaming experiences, including 6 DLCs and 4 hero shooter seasons. This means I was able to beat 24 games this year. This is a major improvement and I love it. I played so many games and got to experience so many franchises. I never thought I would be able to do this. I'm so glad I did. There were months where I wasn't able to beat a game in the week, which was my goal. But, you know, it's alright. Next year, things will be different. 2026 will be completely different. Yes, there are some games that I did drop, but we won't be talking about those all that much because chances are I will return to them in 2026. So now let's go over the games that I've beaten over the year. Starting with January. The first game in January that I beat is one of the greatest games I have ever played. It's a masterpiece, honestly. And I know it's controversial to say, but it's Class of 09. I bit my tongue there. Class of 09. This game masterfully combines gameplay and story for me, and it creates a character style that allows you to play the role of a character and slowly understand their beliefs and opinions on the world, and why Nicole, the main character, has them. It's not just about Nicole's journey, but your own journey and understanding your own opinions and beliefs. The game's story is about Nicole and her trying to survive at her brand new school. And the word survive isn't hyperbole here. She will encounter some of the most horrible things and try to survive. Yeah, this is a visual novel, but it's a really good visual novel. The first visual novel I've ever played. And I want to go more into this with how there's multiple routes and multiple endings, but there's so much you can learn from this game. Like, it really makes you think about what women go through. I think that's the main point of the game. To understand what average women's struggle is. Because this game was clearly designed with men in mind and forced them into playing a role to understand how a woman, the average teenage girl, experiences when she has to deal with just misogyny and all sorts of discrimination, and obviously attracting creepy old men and boys her age that just don't respect her. That was the whole point of the game. It's like, now you get to put yourself in the women's shoes instead of the woman telling you, oh, this is how I feel. You're forced to experience it. Everyone should play Class of 09. It's really good. I don't want to spoil it. In fact, I really want to make our own video about this. But I understand it's important for people to play the game instead of just get their opinion of the game from me. Because a lot of people have time to play games, but they don't want to, and want to take the easy option just watching a YouTube video explain how they think and feel about it. The game, back onto gameplay. The game's gameplay has always been something I've dreamed of, where you can portray the character without breaking the canon, because whenever I play a video game, I want to play it as canon as possible. And it turns out to do that, you have just to remove a ton of aspects of gameplay. So basically, to make it into a visual novel, which is just an interactive book. Next, the gaming experience I had was the Cuphead DLC. Cuphead, the delicious last course. It was good. It was fun. It was difficult. So I played with my brother. We've been playing it since the last year, and we thought to ourselves, okay, let's quickly just beat it now and beat the boss. Good, struggle, fun. I want more games like Cuphead. If you know any more games like Cuphead, please do recommend them. There's a couple, I know there's that Cuphead ripoff there, and I know it's probably hard, and I should probably check that out too. Maybe. But yeah, more difficult Souls-like games that are multiplayer. They're more fun that way. Okay. The next game on the list is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. This is a game I started playing on December 2024, specifically New Year's, Christmas Eve, because I was with a couple of friends that we just played. I just got Resident Evil 7 and we just watched me play it. It was a fun experience. And I said, okay, let me wait and I'll play it in 2025 when they come around so we could just continue the game, continue the story together. But I was so interested in where Resident Evil 7 was going right after, well, I'm not spoiling that, after a certain point where you get into this caravan thing. Those who've played know what I'm talking about. And I just had to play it. I just went in, made a different save file and went straight through, and I loved it. Resident Evil 7 is fantastic. And thanks to this game, I know what fear really is. Resident Evil 7 is the first Resident Evil game I've ever beaten. The first Resident Evil game I played was Resident Evil Revelations 2. I think like that free demo on the the PlayStation Store. That was on PS4, and Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube version on the Wii. But I never really got past the prologue. You know what? I really love Resident Evil 7. I often think about it. The gameplay is fantastic. Struggling to get items and ammo that you have to survive is stressful, but very, very enjoyable experience. I believe this is called a resource management. I like it. You know, after playing this game, I did some research into survival horror genre, and it turns out I got its ideas from the JRPG genre because Resident Evil franchise is based off an JRPG called Sweet Home, and it makes them very similar. The JRPGs and survival have resource management and functions, and it's like, yeah, I should be playing more survival horror. It's shorter, it's good, and it has a more condensed story compared to JRPGs. And so it doesn't go on for too long. It's like it knows exactly how long it needs to be on. Not too far, not too much. It's good, but that's not a slant on JRPGs. Some stories do have to be long. That's okay. So yeah, overall, survival horror is just a more extreme version of JRPGs. I love them. The game's story is good and yet a tragic one. Even though like the story is not the deepest or most complex thing out there, I've heard that the Resident Evil franchise is like a B-tier movie thing, where you just put on the movie that's just for fun and it's not that super deep. Those are good. I'd compare it to Illumination movies, like the family or hospital movies, but where I that's like an insult because I actually do like those. There's a time and space for everything. Not everything has to be super deep or methodical. You can have that weird, zany stuff for fun. And I think that's a good example of what Resident Evil is. Well, of course, if you play Resident Evil 4, you know how goofy that is. God, it's so cute. But overall, it's a really engaging story. You look back on it, it's not trying to be like the super most intelligent, deep thing, even though it does have like the main theme about family, I guess. It's surface level-ish. It dips its toe into it not to be so methodical and interesting. But that's not the point. This sounds like I'm insulting Resident Evil 7 when it's really good in my opinion. I really love that game. Okay, back onto it. Okay, my favorite character in the game is Zoe. She's a strong person surviving with all that she's been through. I don't want to spoil it. And yeah, but she's worked so hard and you will appreciate her. The scariest part of the game was Evelyn's bedroom. The part of the game that made me understand what fear really is. It made me sweat so much that I even got a bump onto my armpit due to how much I was sweating. Did I really do that? Is that what I wrote like in February? Jesus Christ. The suspense was made out of the fear of the unknown. And how it was used, it was insane. I have to agree with that. I really cooked when I wrote this. The game was most definitely scary. But you know, there's Lucas's part of the game, which is not that scary, but you know, we all have our different own fears. If you got stuck in a death game, that is a nightmare for someone else and a joy for me. The most important lesson I got from this game is that fear is an emotion. It's not just about screams. It's an emotion that can really control you. Fear is about control, and that's important. I've always known that, but at the time I've forgotten about it with the idea of getting a scream. It's not always about the screams. Thank you, Resident Evil 7, for reminding me. Bruh, I wrote that. Up next was the DLC, Resident Evil 7 Season Pass. Daughters and Enders. I got the Resident Evil Season Pass thinking it would, like, build a story. But the banned footage thing was just torture. My horror weakness. It was too tense for me. It was horrible. My thoughts and feelings on the banned footage section clearly shows why horror is such an important thing. It forces someone to face their fears, and it's very important for their growth as a person. Not letting their past or fears control you can really save your life. I have to play the bedroom footage again one time at a later date. Well, I really wrote something here. Our lives tend to have meaningless suffering that doesn't have any lessons, but affects us greatly to the point where they change the directions of our lives. We are forced that pain to control us with chains. But I believe with horror, a simulation of pain, you can face it and overcome that trauma. It can save you. You could say, I'm not afraid anymore. And that is one of the most wonderful things a person can say. I love the horror genre. I kind of understand the movie's substance a bit more. Okay, now to the Daughters DLC is nothing more than an origin. I won't be talking about the Daughters or End of Zoe due to them being spoilers, but overall, it's the Daughters is like really sad, and End of Zoe, you'd already figure out you'll find out yourself. Please play Resident Evil 7. And then there's Not a Hero. Yeah, this is all spoilers, I'm so sorry. Overall, Resident Evil 7 is an amazing game. Yeah. Okay, now we're going on to Resident Evil 8. Resident Evil 8 focuses on fantasy monsters instead of like horror movie tropes like in 7. That I learned from the internet. I did not come up with that myself. We got vampires, dolls, mermaids, and Frankenstein witches this time. This is all interesting concepts I actually really like, and I wish I wanted each one to have their own space a little bit more. Each of these could have been their own Resident Evil game. Okay. My favorite part of Resident Evil 8 would be Lady Dimitrescu. Yeah, Lady Dimitrescu. That's how you actually say it. Not Dimitrescu. And Donna Bivenieto's parts of the game. Those two parts of the games were peak, especially Donna. Donna has my respect. And apparently, Donna's part of the game was based off PT Silent Hill. It's a shame I'll never be able to play that. But at least Hideo Kojima's going to be making another horror game, so I will check that out. Resident Evil 8 has my favorite concept out of all the Resident Evil games. A fairy tale horror. Even though I would want it to be used much better, and I wish we could have used like the werewolves in a much cooler way. Imagine if like Chris Redfield was actually a werewolf, like everyone thought he was. Like, that is such a cool concept. This is one of the best concepts in like a horror thingy ever. Instead of the generic stuff, I won't say generic, but the similar stuff I see on movie posters and trailers, or advertisements. I barely watch the trailers at all. So I would want more of what Resident Evil 8 Village has to offer, and I hope I can find it. It's an interesting fairy tale, but let's find some more fairy tale horror. But at least we have what we have, and I know what we know now. There's also the Resident Evil 8 Shadows of Rose DLC, but I can't spoil that. It's a good DLC, and it adds more to the Donna, and it has Donna. I don't know how to say it. Donna section in there, and it's really good, and it's really good storytelling for that protagonist in that DLC. It's really good storytelling using that type of horror. You know, horror games just make sense in concept. You can make a lot of different genres in movie and game, but the horror genre, that's something you can experience, is high IQ, and I love it. And I feel like the Donna part of the DLC is just proof of that. Damn, I want more of what Resident Evil 8 had to offer. Please tell me if there's more games like that, or I'm just gonna have to search online for them. And we're still on February, and the next Resident Evil game, yeah, another Resident Evil game. I'm going for a blitz in this franchise. Is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Because I was struggling to think about what game I should play next, because I had two options, 8 or 4. And I figured, let me end the story with 8. 8 exists, good. Now 4, in the middle of the story. I've heard I wanted to go through this one because it's not only the most popular, but it's also a good jumping start point. Because I know that 1 till 6 has like an overarching story with this guy called Wesker, and apparently 4 is like semi-filler. It's like its own story for a bit, so it's a good place to jump in. So I played Resident Evil 4 Remake. Resident Evil 4 Remake is not the type of survival horror I prefer. This is not a problem with the game. I just prefer more stuff like 7. And that's really what I'm interested in. Resident Evil 7 doesn't make me feel powerful like 4. The weapons didn't make me feel like I was better at the game. The only thing that kept me going was my own confidence. And despite all the horrors I was seeing. Resident Evil 4 didn't exactly have that horror for me. That's just a personal thing. It had creepiness, but not horror. Because I always felt like I can always take out stuff. It's a funny action game. Resident Evil 4 was icky, but not disgusting. Not revolting. Not a literal hell. Even though you wouldn't want to be there anyway. I felt like I should have played Resident Evil 2 first, after playing 4, because it just felt like I was out of context, even though that's kind of the point of why it's a good starting point. But obviously, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed 4. Now let's talk about the characters. Leon Kennedy. Yes, the whatever, super popular guy. I'm sorry, but Leon Kennedy was super cringy. Bro, he had some of the worst lines I've ever heard in my life. And I remember in the final boss thing, I'll give you a holy body. I was like, oh my gosh. No, like seriously, he was just saying so many cringy things and you just can't take it. And he's like, whoa, start talking. Stop talking, you're ruining it. Like, he tried to be cool and then he ruins it. Oh my god, bro. And obviously, I wrote here back when I played this, I should have played Resident Evil 2. And now looking back, I wonder how he became so super cringe. Like, did the incidents in Resident Evil 2 just make him cringe like that? I do not know, even despite playing Resident Evil 2, which we will get to later. As for my favorite characters, I would probably say Ashley and Louise. Ashley was great. She was the person who became more confident over time, and even though she didn't have like super deep character development, she made like the game really enjoyable and actually really fun. My favorite character was Louise. I thought he was just going to be some super cringy and like a lot like Luca from the Bayonetta series. But now, he's like Luca from Bayonetta, but with a lot more story relevance. I actually like that. I think the YouTuber, the Spear Hunter, made me realize this. That's why I wrote in brackets here. Well, you should probably check her out. She does good videos. I also wanted to make a joke about how Resident Evil is Resident Evil because I feel like the game is all about having like super attractive people do super attractive B plot stuff. Like, I don't know, it's like the game is trying to find these people like super appealing, like, oh my gosh, this person's eye candy. Yet again, this is a game about people being tortured and used in a cult-like way. Come on, man, like, it's not like Resident Evil 7 tried to make me think that the Baker family is a couple of baddies. No! The Baker family is horrible. So why can't everything, like, be like that? Why can't they just play normal? The next game we're looking at is what I'm going to be talking about. It's a franchise sweep. I went through one whole franchise, and that franchise is Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry is a franchise that I've been interested in because of its characters, combat system, and because I ended up playing because I played Final Fantasy 16. I've heard so much about like Devil May Cry, right? And I mean, heard about. I mean, I just saw memes. I played, and knowing that they had the same creator and well, other stuff too. I said, let me play it. I got the game like, I don't know, in 2023, but I didn't play it until 2025. Keep in mind, this is every single game. So what do I think about the Devil May Cry 1? Well, it's a simple game, and it's clearly of its time. And it's while playing it became quite clear how Bayonetta was its successor. And it was great to see the similarities between the two games and how the concepts from DMC1 has evolved over time. One thing I liked was the character Nilo Angela, who kept on appearing from time to time. Okay, next game. Well, the last game in February was Devil May Cry 2. Yep, Devil May Cry 2. I barely got through it. I dropped it 30 minutes in. It was even 30 minutes because the average length... Oh my god, bro. I just didn't enjoy DMC2. If someone wants me to play DMC2, you're going to have to pay me a lot of money. I should probably put a coffee for that. Yeah. Oh my god. Is this me begging? Yeah, this is begging. You have to give me money to play DMC2 because that game gave me a headache. And obviously, I'm not going to give myself a headache unless I'm going to get some sort of money from it. And now we're on March, and we're focusing on Devil May Cry 3. It's a good game, the prequel to Devil May Cry 1. This game is about Dante's and Virgil's past, and I'm glad I finally got to see Virgil. I've heard so much about him. He was hyped up by the internet through his song Buried Light since like 2019. The game's story is simple, but just like the first game, but it's the most emotional story so far. Really emotional, really nice. Loved it. The game's combat was difficult, but not as difficult as DMC1 for me. Yeah, see, character action games for some reason were not good, even though I do try. My favorite one so far is like Bayonetta 2. And obviously this game was difficult because of the time period it came out in. Now, the Virgil boss fight, the final boss, it was one of the most difficult boss fights I have ever experienced in a game. It was an emotional roller coaster. I went from being a bit afraid to being motivated, to nearly giving up and choosing to go online to watch everything, to just filling myself up with like guilt and rage and learn every trick, exploit and backtracking to learn a few things before I could fight to Virgil one last time. And I can't believe I won. If playing that fight was like a child, it's like when you're a child and you don't know how to play the game and you're just so struggle, you just don't know what to do. That's how it was. DMC3 was a wonderful PS2 vibe kind of game. After all, it was on the PS2 and it gave off those vibes. I should really play more PS2 games. Either way, I'd like more games that make me feel like a childlike wonder. I never believe when gamers say that childlike wonders, because it's like, oh my god, he makes me feel like a kid, and I'm like, how? It's always the same. But I understand when you're a child, you feel weak and you're struggling with the unknown. That's what I felt with the Virgil fight. I was so weak, out of despair. It was like hopeless because you always have to rely on something else. That kind of despair, but also fun to it. Like a special childlike anxiety. That's what DMC brought to the table, and I adore it for that. And the next game in March is DMC 4, Devil May Cry 4. This game has the new protagonist Nero, the kid with the devil arm known as the Devil Bringer, and a sword known as the Exceed Sword. The game only focuses on him with Dante. Wait, what? That didn't even make sense with the sentence. The game focuses on Nero more, while Dante takes like a back seat doing his own thing. And somehow he's even weirder when he's doing his own thing, when he's not a protagonist. Like, what the hell is this? I finally got to experience that meme, and it's like, once you see it in context, it doesn't make sense. Dante doesn't make sense. Like, I know people joked about him being super, I'm crazy, guys, I like pizza. But it really makes sense once you're not playing as him. Dude's doing whatever the hell he wants while taking this mission, like, seriously. DMC4 was the game that had the most similarities to Bayonetta 1, with aesthetics, setting, and even with the console generation that it debuted on. Hell, it turns out this game even came out a year before Bayonetta 1. Okay, now DLC 4 games. Since I'm not really good at character action games, Nero's Combat was probably my favorite, and it was the most easiest for me to understand. I know that's embarrassing, because I should be able to understand Dante, but I just couldn't hack it, guys. I'm so sorry. The way the game really helped me understand combos instead of just spamming buttons was really nice too for that. As for DMC4's story, I think everyone said it how it feels incomplete. Well, the character journey felt incomplete because you never feel like you really understand. Hero just appears and he's like stuck and he doesn't know what's happening, why it's happening. And I think that actually just makes a lot more sense. It really does. Like it's like, hey man, you tie into the greater story or plot, but it's not really a story or plot. It's just family drama, and you're born into this beef, if you like it or not. You know, this is actually kind of sad. This is probably like really relatable for some people. That kind of sucks. I can see a lot of people related to Nero being born into like this family drama and affair, and they just have to play therapist. I mean, that happens on DMC 5-ish. Oh, there's a little things I talked about here. Turns out I was able to beat the final boss of the game without a single heal, which is good. That shows how talented I was at DMC 4. And so I kept on saying Kyrie as Kyrie because of like Kingdom Hearts. My mistake. And it turns out all the voice actors, like the main voice actors in the Devil May Cry games, are Power Rangers. That's actually really cool. So I didn't get the secret ending because I wasn't able to do the credits for Battle Royale. That sucks. So I wonder how Nero got his sword. I searched up online and it turns out he built it himself. DMC4 is a good game, and it's a game I would have wanted when I was younger. It's a PS3 game that came out the generation that I would have liked it the most. I wish I had it, but I don't think my family would have wanted a game that had devil in it. My favorite character from DMC4 has to be Nero. Finally, the long awaited Devil May Cry 5. Like, Devil May Cry 5 is so good. This is the game I've wanted to play for so long. So hyped. It's the most fun Devil May Cry game I've played. It's the easiest one, and I should really play it on higher difficulties. The game was really surprisingly easy about the abilities to heal. Devil May Cry 5 is special. It's a game about accepting your negative emotions, the negative aspects of life, accepting and embracing the darkness that's within you. DMC 5 is like the acceptance of like everything that you are. It was like saying goodbye to the franchise, like ending everything in a nice, neat way that was really wholesome. My favorite characters from DMC 5 have to be Nico and Nero. Nico is a great character, and I didn't even know that she was like the daughter of Agnes from DMC 4. This is something cool. Also, something I noticed is that Capcom has made like the best female character designs in my opinion. That is true. Yeah, I wrote that way back in there. It's so true. Also, Nero's story was really great and how it ended too. And another small thing is that Virgil did not pull up with the plastic chair. Turns out that was a mod. Turns out this was a modern day Mandela effect. Very odd, very weird. V looks like Roger from Day of the Good Kid. But I think everyone knows that. I'm so glad I got to experience the DMC franchise. I don't feel like I've said a lot for DMC 5. It's just mostly good feels and happiness. Good soundtrack, good battles. And it's the DMC game I've played the most because I keep on going back to the Bloody Palace. I really enjoyed that place. And now for the final game of March, Dragon Quest Heroes Rocket Slime. Yeah, it's a DS game from my childhood. It was one of the games I played when I lived like somewhere else, and me and my brother lost that game on our DS Lite. And we didn't actually know how to play this game. I thought it was like a delivery game or some sorts, but oh well. I so used to think that game was like a strange dream I had. Sometimes you have games that, oh yeah, maybe this game exists and I just dreamt it up. Turns out the game was not about deliveries, it was about saving the people's Slimeria and using a giant tank. I never actually got to the giant tank parts when I was like a little kid. It was an interesting part of the game. Very interesting. It's a short, simple, well, I won't say short, but it's a good game. Really glad I was able to play a childhood game that I was never able to beat beforehand. That's a really good experience. Everyone should actually have backlog games where they get to beat games they never beat as a kid. It's such a good experience. And that's the end of March when it comes to games. Yeah, in April didn't go so well, so let's say in April I played 0 games. And we're gonna have to move on to May. I feel like this year was like the demon slaying hunting year for me, because it had the Devil May Cry franchise, K-pop Demon Hunters, and the Demon Slayer movie. Okay, and finally, DMC Devil May Cry Definitive Edition, the infamous DMC reboot. It's actually a really good game if you separate it from the DMC franchise. I can see why people are upset back then, but it's a really good game. This game is like an alternate version of DMC, and it tells a different story of Dante, Virgil, and I actually found it really good. The game had Dante and Virgil and Minds interacting with each other more, which can barely happen in the original DMC games, which, I mean, I'm not hating on the original, but I really like what this one did too. And like, they developed Dante and Virgil in a different way, and having them split up at the end was really good. I understand why people hated it, but you know, if you like took out like Dante and Virgil and replaced their names with like Damien and Vincent, I know that was like a mockery joke, but naming them Damien and Vincent would have been a really good one. Hell, I've even heard people say if you named them Cain and Abel, that's genius. Then everyone would have loved that game. So the announcer for this game was really good. Savage, sadistic, sensational. That was amazing. I love that. DMC Devil May Cry is a pretty good game, and I actually kind of like the Bloody Palace too. And also, I wrote about something about hack and slash games this game has taught me. This game taught me that hack and slash games is about controlling your emotions and adrenaline in high stakes situations, learning to calm yourself down instead of just doing bam, 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 hitting with over again. It's about planning stuff, like controlling your emotions in like high stake situations. I think that's what hack and slash games are about, and I think that's what most pros are able to do. They're able to do so many high cool combos while controlling their desire to go look at me hack away like a better, like the coolest guy ever. It's like fighting that desire to just go self-indulge. I think that's really cool. And the DMC Devil May Cry DLC, it was interesting to see Virgil's perspective on everything. It's a shame we never got another game in this universe, but I would have loved to see like a parallel continuation of both universes. That would have been fantastic. And the last game of May was Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta 3 is my least favorite. And Bayonetta 3 feels like its own thing, and it doesn't follow like the whole main story of what Bayonetta 1 and 2 was supposed to do. And I understand that Bayonetta 1 and 2 was complicated with its time travel thing, but even adding alternate universes is kind of... I feel like this should have been its own IP. And I like Viola's song. I don't wanna be your ghost and don't wanna be a little secret. It's quite good. And that's the end of May. Now next up was Deltarune. I've already talked about Deltarune on this channel and it kind of got slandered, but here we go. I wrote here in my journal, Deltarune Chapter 3, parties, and more parties. I guess June was the party time. It's back. After almost 4 years and 2 more chapters are here. Chapter 3 is more mini-game focused and not gameplay focused, as Toby Fox said in one of his newsletters. When I first heard about this mini-game focused thing in the newsletter, I was worried because Chapter 2's mini-games were not good to me. But fortunately, Chapter 3's mini-games were good and have children replay value. Looking back, I don't think that's completely true. Unless you're trying to get like S ranks and stuff. But I should have just had a separate section where you could just replay the board. But it didn't. Like, Deltarune has a lot of cool minigame stuff you just can never redo again because it's just a one-time thing. It's not even in Castletown, and that sucks. Hopefully in Chapter 5 this changes. Chapter 3 focuses more on Chris, and you kind of learn more about Chris, but you also don't. It's like everything has been left in the dark. Chapter 3 also does feel like a filler season, but it's kind of not. Chapter 3 was alright, and I would say like the best character in it is Tenma. I don't even know if I like it or not. I know that Toby Fox has like severe glazes, so you'll never hear it. He's always worried that people might not like his stuff, but I don't think he knows that people actually glaze it. Yet again, he did get like all I hate in 2016, so I don't think he's aware of the glaze. Something I really did like about Chapter 3 was like Chris and Tenna's flashback. That was interesting. I don't know where the story of Deltarune's going, and for some reason I'm just not excited. Chapter 4 is about the prophecy. I mean, the chapter's called The Prophecy after all. And most of the parts of the chapter were at the beginning and somewhat around, like, the middle. Actually, the end, of course. But this chapter did tell us more info. It was more like a Chapter 1 chapter, which I enjoyed. The early parts of the chapter gave us an idea of who Chris was and what they wanted. They wanted to stop Susie from finding the code to the basement, and it implied that Carol and Chris are working together. At the end of the chapter, it turns out Chris promised something to someone, and it says they were talking to Carol. And personally, I think that super secret person they were talking to, that's not the real weird route. I think Azrael is somewhere already in the game, or maybe he isn't. But I feel like I'm wrong with that one completely. I don't even think we're gonna actually meet Azrael at the end of the game. Like, he's gonna be there, but he's also just not gonna be sure. I want to like show you what I think the ending is, but later I'll probably make a video about it. As for the soundtrack of Deltarune, I said here it didn't hit us hard, but I actually think it really went well with the Chapter 4, the Sanctuary theme, the Titan theme. Well, the Cup Titan theme was good. Overall, it was pretty good. Yeah. Chapter 5 is coming 2026. And I can't believe that the game actually said, yep, it's coming 2026 in the game. It wasn't Tony Fox coming out and saying it in a tweet or anything. That's insane. I'm excited for it. In July, we played Aperture Desktop. This is a test demo, just like Wii Sports, but for the Steam Deck. Number 15. Hamburger cheeseburger. The last thing you want in your Burger King burger. Alright, Aperture Desktop is a test demo for the Steam Deck, just like Wii Sports was. But instead of being there like multiple mini games to play, it was like a linear storyline that teaches you everything you can do with it. It was simple, somewhat funny, and like 2 characters in it. And surprisingly, J.K. Simmons was in it, voicing this guy called Cave Johnson. The Rock! No, it wasn't The Rock Dwayne Johnson, but just Cave Johnson. I would have liked the Wii Sports kind of thing, you know. I have really fell off in game playing. I'm so sorry, gang. Okay, now we're in August. The next game I beat was Little Big Planet on the PSP. Finally, I beat this game on the PSP. I remember beating it when I was a kid, but when I say I remember beating it, I mean I just remember the credits. I think I got like a pre-owned version when I was a really little kid, so I ended up playing some dudes at moon level, and it kept on running to like this driving thing that got me killed constantly. It's kind of weird. I'm glad I was able to beat the whole thing and understand why the counter ended in Brazil. It was nice. I'm so happy I beat games that I couldn't beat as a kid. You should also play games you never were able to get as a kid. That's all. It's great. Also, the song Beach Samba is amazing. Loved it. The other August game I was able to play was Class of 09 The Re-Up, the sequel to my favorite game of all time so far. Class of 09 The Re-Up focuses less on like the whole feminism aspect and focuses more on Nicole and who she is as a character and how much she is as a bad person. It shows her extreme selfishness, not just through the endings, but through the journey to the endings too. I've met Nicole's voice actor a couple of times at Anime and Gaming Con. First in February, and now and another one in August. I actually talked about the game, and she actually really enjoyed the talks about it. I posted a picture of us in my YouTube community post and on Instagram. You should check that out. Nicole was willing to go insane lengths to get what she wants in the Re-Up. No real goal, no real desire, and only focus on short-term pleasure. Nicole's voice actor, Elsie Lovelock, if that's how you say her name, said that she's like a really traumatized human being who would get wherever she wants. Well, she agreed on my point on that. She didn't say that. She merely said that she's a traumatized person. I'm not going to put words in someone else's mouth. But I didn't expect the game to abandon the whole women's struggle aspect of it, but it made a point of why you shouldn't idolize Nicole. Nicole's a really bad person. And if you idolize her, you need to understand how much of a bad person you are. I understand like people struggle in life and want to live vicariously through fictionally, but that's not healing. It's really bad. September. The next game is Celeste. Celeste is a video game about how you can't run away from your problems, or for yourself. The game reminded me of the time when my mum told me, it doesn't matter how many vacations I take, I will eventually have to return to the life I lived, the place I am. That statement may be true, but that doesn't mean that the vacation you take is useless. You can learn so much from the different places, so it's important for you to go. I believe there's a real Celeste mountain that I have to take, and this game made me realize that. I wanted to find a mountain in Italy, but I was never able to get there, take it. I was able to take a bit of a solo walk in like Monopoly though. That was great. The game doesn't have much of a story, but it kind of does have a story, but it's like inner conflict and you just live vicariously through it. The best character is Madeline, a counterpart that is called Badeline by the internet community, and Celeste Mountain itself. Yes, the Celeste Mountain also counts as a character. For once, environmental storytelling. No, not really. The best part of the game is when Madeline finally works together with her counterparts and they both together reach the summit. I hope that I really climb my own Celeste Mountain sometime. And the final game of September is Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. This is a game I never thought I was going to play. I've always seen the adverts as a child and I thought it was going to be a great experience. And I finally played it on the 3DS, which is good. The last 3DS game that came out, I believe. And you know, it's simple and really nice. Good game. That's the end of the September game. Okay, October. I beat 2 horror games. First one is Silent Hill 2. I have a lot to say about Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 is about James coming to terms with the man he is, the monster that he is. The atmosphere of the game is interesting. The game can be very boring at times or repetitive. It's not my kind of horror, but the game was never meant to be horrifying. It was just meant to be sad and make you think. I'm pretty sure the other Silent Hill games are supposed to bug you out, like really make you scared. I'll play those. One thing about the Silent Hill 2 made me think about is the concept of marriage and marriage vows, and when the idea of the marriage vows being challenged, like it's through sickness and through health, till death do us part, that kind of thing. It makes you think about what would you do when your marriage vows are tested, when your love is tested. And I feel like, personally, I believe that when you're in a relationship with someone, it doesn't have to be like marriage, a simple boyfriend girlfriend thing. Like, you should hold those marriage vows things anyway. If you just adapt those into your life naturally, you wouldn't end up in the situation James is in. But at the same time, what James went through, yeah, maybe I'm right. It's hard to say. I want to hear other people's opinions on what James went through. I don't want to spoil the game for anyone, because the main point of these videos is not just to like review or talk and discuss. It's to get you to do this backlog challenge, so you are able to play all the games you wish you could have played, the way Daryl got me to play it. So now I'm even playing more games that I wish I could have played, and I'm actually happy. I have something to go for each year. And I want to end it off saying that when it comes to love, romance, and all that stuff, I will not break like James. I will keep my vows and promises, even before marriage or anything like that. Not sure what the future holds for me, but I will stay loyal, faithful. Okay, that's the bare minimum. But like when push comes to shove, I won't let go. I won't look the other way and think of hating or accept that those frustrations or the cruelties of life come to me. I won't whine, become immature, lose my way. That's what Silent Hill wants to teach me. Teach me when it comes to love, you don't run away. The last game of October. Unfortunately, is a game I wouldn't have discovered without the internet. But at the same time, it's the first game that the internet ruined for me. I already knew the spoilers and everything, and I went in to form my own opinion. And at the end of it, I feel like the game would have been better in a chronological order from Pally's perspective. I wish I enjoyed the game, but I didn't. You can blame Twitter. I'm so sorry. I wish I enjoyed this, but I didn't. Oh, there could be better things than it. People say it's all deep or something, but it's like I only played it because of trends and crap. I don't understand it. Or did the internet just ruin it for me? This is the first time I feel like, I don't know, it was egotistical to say I could make something better, though I do love what the game tried to do by having a parental horror, like living with someone and loving someone who is bad to others, and the fear of losing them or when fear of them turning against you. The relationship of Jimmy and Curly. They could have been told in a much better way. In a way that would have gotten a fan base like it is. I don't know. I can make something better than that. And that feels wrong to say. No, it's not wrong to say actually. It's okay to want more. I don't know, because it's important to create, you know. Maybe I should make my own version of it. The mouthwashing thing in it. Could have been better. For some reason a boring game. Glad I played it, but at the same time I wish I didn't. And I wish the internet never got hold of mouthwashing, which I saw it as a normal thing. I like the game that was in first person though. I love that. I love horror games in first person. And that's the end of October games. Now, time for November. This is when I played I actually really had a really fun experience with Spider-Man on the PS4. The PS4 Spider-Man game. Insomniac Spider-Man. It's a good game that I got from my brother that he never completed. And it's the first open world game that I played this year. And it made me realize how important first open world games are. It's a game that you can play for a long time while you beat other games weak. So you don't rush open world games. Some games you just don't rush. You can have short games and long games. That's a good thing to have. From the Spider-Man, the first one taught me about Peter Parker and Dr. Octopus's relationship. Something I never really got or understood because I barely watched anything about it. And I'm glad I have it now. Also, swinging around is fun, it's great. Did a bunch of side quests, did a bunch of achievements. I think it was like my most fun experience. You should play open world games a lot more often. They're really good. I don't know why everyone hates them. Well, people probably hate them because they rush them. Don't rush an open world. You don't rush life. Yeah. And the game just made me want to rewatch Spectacular Spider-Man. Especially since I played on the highest difficulty of Spectacular Spider-Man. I probably get copyrighted for that or something. I don't know. I should play other Spider-Man games too. But overall, I loved Spider-Man game I played. The next game in November was Refine Self, the personality test. This game was designed around finding my personality, and honestly, it was enjoyable. While playing the game, I got to like find a part of it, and my computer crashed. I was so worried about that, but thankfully the game had an autosave feature. Well, the personality test I got was Runner, and to be honest, that's the best accurate representation about me. And I took it seriously, looked into it, reflected about it, and it's the reason why I was able to make YouTube videos as quickly as possible in a more consistent manner this year. because that's who I am. I'm focused on do something, get to the next part, get results. That's who I am. This is a game, and I actually got a friend to play it too, and she enjoyed it. And it's like, oh, that's really good. You actually got someone to play a game. Last time I did that was of Clash Royale. Ding, 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 ding. Something about Refine Self, the personality test game, is that you should play it more than once. And I'm gonna play it next year again because I just want to keep it a fresh start and just, I'm gonna find out more about myself. Yeah. And in November, yet again, I played Class of 09: The Flip Side, the final game in the Class of 09 series. The game isn't bad, but I wish it had more roots and new characters. It was nice to see the difference between Jekka and Nicole, which I really liked. I want to talk about the voice actor about this and thank her for being part of the whole Class of 09 experience. It was lovely. I don't know what to say about the Flip Side. I feel like there should be more to say about it. It didn't give me enough. Maybe we should have more about Jekka than just this game. Maybe like outside of school for once, being as an adult, because I feel like we should have got to the Class of 09 game about the truth about Nicole and how Jekka and how these are people who peak in high school or secondary school and don't succeed after. Because the truth is, these are not people you should aspire to, and we should have just had a whole game slandering them. I don't mind the game with completely bad endings like Flip Side. It's just how it's executed. Dear God. Okay, we're in December, and I ended up playing Horizon Zero Dawn. This is a game I've tried to play over and over and over and over again, but never actually was able to complete. I started this in November and beat this in December. It's a good game. I love good open world games. This game had more of a focus on open world building than story, and it's like Breath of the Wild, but more interesting to me, personally. The gameplay was limited compared to Breath of the Wild, but that's kind of made me more creative-ish. Just shooting things down. Like, it's a good shooter-esque game. Loved it. The best part of the game was Aloy and Silent's relationship and how they bounced off each other. Aloy brought Silence out in the worst way possible, and that made things more interesting. The best character to me personally is Silence. Silence is like the father from Fullmetal Alchemist if he was like a redeemed villain, but still had that ego-driven personality and unhealthy desire for knowledge. Throughout the game, I thought Silence was played by the actor Andre Braugher because the character reminded me of Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine in a few ways. But it turns out he was played by Lance Reddick, who sadly passed away in 2023. He was even the mocap for Silence too. May he rest in peace. Horizon Zero Dawn, the Frozen Wilds DLC, that was good too. DLC was clearly a setup for the next game, despite me not knowing anything about the next game. But it was so clear that the villain is Hephaestus. Also, a fun fact about Horizon Zero Dawn: play as many side quests as possible. It's going to be very useful in the final fight. You won't regret it. The DLC focused on the Banuk and their culture. Well, not really, but it was interesting. I should have played the side quests, but I just wanted to get it over with. Yeah, I'm so sorry again. If I did the side quests, maybe they would have helped out in the DLC too. Oh, I should have done that. The DLC was about an AI called Cyan, and well, that part of the story was a bit strange-ish. It's clearly a setup for the next part, similar to how Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected was leading up to Xenoblade 3. And for the final game in December, because we're in December, is the Resident Evil 2 remake. This is a game I played in April and dropped after completing the Leon route, because I just found it stressful and annoying. Or rather, my brother was making things stressful and annoying for me. I returned to the game after seeing the Resident Evil Requiem trailer, seeing how Leon Kennedy's returned to Raccoon City, so I said might as well go back to that. First time I played was stressful, of course, and I finished Leon's route as I said. I went straight to Claire's route. It was great, it was nice. Meeting Claire and that kid's name, I forgot their name. For some reason in my head it's Penny, when it's not Penny. Let me search it up real quick. Sherry, not Penny. Sherry was a good character to play as too, it was great. Resident Evil 2 is not as horrifying as 7, but it's a different type of horror for different type of people. Being swarmed by those zombies do not die, and that actually added a lot of tension. It made you feel so weak and powerless at times, though it would have been better done in first person. So it's like Resident Evil 2 kept this what 7 did, but slightly different. But I prefer it ones in first. Hopefully we'll get a Resident Evil game that's horrifying. 7, that's first person, and also apocalyptic. I guess that might be Requiem, but we might never know. We might know soon. Hope to play a Requiem next year. That's all the games I beat. Yes, there's another game I'm working on right now, but it's not going to get beaten this year. And I will talk about it next year. Overall, the Backlog is an experience. Going through the years and over the time was great. I remember the joys of playing DMC. I remember the joys of playing Spider-Man. Overall, the main important thing is that I'm not living with regrets, wishing that I could have done this or I could have done that. I'm blitzing through things I love to play and enjoy, and I'm happy. I want you to also go through this backlog experience and play all the games that you want to. I can't believe I made a video just like Daryl, man. I made a backlog video and I've been recording it for like an hour. Oh my god. Next time, I'm not just gonna do a gaming backlog video. I'm gonna do a TV show backlog or two. I'm gonna do reading. I'm gonna be doing movies. I'm gonna be going through, motivating people to get to do the things they say they want to do, but never actually do it. So they're gonna watch me do it and get motivated. Do it. Just do it. Just complete the things you want to do. And I'm not just gonna just do like consumption too. I want to do like backlogs and show up my yearly progress of different things each month. Something that makes people want to get up, wake up, get up and get out there. Yeah, Persona 5 reference. But either way, it's important. Wake up, get out there. Play those games. Just don't make it your whole life. Take breaks. Have a goal each month. My personal goal is insane. Win a game a week. You don't have to do that. Because I could do game every 2 weeks too. Because I like to do games every 2 weeks too as well. If I can't do a game a week. But you do you. You do your progress. We all have our own different struggles of time. Be happy. Take care of yourselves. And watch another video. Man, yeah, I didn't even know what I'm saying. Watch another video of mine. But yeah, I hope things are good for you. Beat those games and bye-bye.